Look, guys, reality is strangely layered. It's often like nested dolls, Russian dolls. And we have a kind of layering coming up where for about 3 months, starting on the 20th of 2021 of the month of December, the sun will move into Capricorn and give us a 3-month forecast. That's a 3-month forecast that's built underneath the big umbrella of our vernal equinox, spring equinox 1 year chart. 1 year predictive qualities about the world, about politics, about wars, and about your life. And this little sweet ending, this last chapter, has an exalted Mars in it. So it may not be as intense as that. It may be quite a positive experience. We shall see. But we're going to talk about Sun ingressing on the winter solstice into the sign of Capricorn with Mars right beside it. And that's going to give us a tonal quality of the next 3 months for world events and individually. When we get to your sign, we're going to have some very positive stories to talk about. The star Vega is very powerfully placed on the moon. It is a positive star. The moon represents we, the people. And when we go through the wheel and talk about your sign based on your rising sign, most accurate probably here, sun sign secondarily, will give you a prescription of the next 3 months. Okay. If you're welcome, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. We're talking about the winter solstice chart. We're talking about how it unfolds over 3 whole months until the third week of March, and gives you clues about how you're going to operate from the third week of December to the third week of March. So it's a 3-month forecast. You can keep coming back to it. It's not about the day of the solstice. It's about the time that follows the 3 months that follows the solstice. If you don't think this kind of astrology works, I remember looking at the vernal equinox chart from Washington, D.C.'s perspective, which we'll be doing today. The year that Joe Biden did not do the election, that he stepped down from running for office. And I predicted that based on the chart in Washington, D.C. of the spring vernal equinox, that he would step away from running for power. So you can use these charts for mundane or world prediction, but also for personal use. Okay, use for personal use as well. I'm going to bring us to the sky and show you what I've got. Just today, I had a members only live stream. We had a 40-minute talk about my remote viewing, all about 3i Atlas. I got some shocking information about it. I'm an accomplished remote viewer. I've been filmed in the BBC documentary doing it. I trained under Dale Graff of Project Stargate. He was a Fort Meade military base guy, and I know what I'm doing. It's blinded. It's not like it's a blind. I don't know the target. I don't know what I'm coming into. I pulled a card though at the beginning of my members live stream today. It's called the God Electra. It's from a deck that normally has stuff about your spiritual life, like trust all is well and everything will turn out. 54 cards. And as we began our live stream, the card is this. What is it about? 3i Atlas. Why am I talking about it? Because this solstice ingress is also going to bring into our attention things to do with outer space. And I'll show you how, and I'll show you why. It has to do with the position of astronomy and astrology, the asteroid Urania. So December 21st, we're going to have 3 months in which space things are going to operate, astronomy and space events. But this is funny because I was asking about 3i Atlas coming close to Earth on Friday, which is the day after this video. This is coming out on a Thursday. And it's going to be attended by Asteroids Varda. She's connected with the making of stars, Huya, from beyond the sun, the asteroid that represents a god, a rain-making god from beyond the sun in the Venezuelan tradition, Gaia, the Earth Mother, and on December 19th as well, the asteroid Asteria, who is also connected to the creation of the stars. So we have all these asteroids for stars beyond the sun or beyond our solar system, Gaia, the Earth, connected to the new moon on the 19th in Sagittarius in the galactic center in the heart of the Milky Way, which is where the 3i Atlas comet is supposed to have come from, according to astronomers. It came from that direction. And you can't make this shit up, because here's what I got today. This is not remote viewing. This was just a card draw. Electricity, thunderbolt, activation. You are subconsciously connecting with the awesome power that lies in the energy of the stars. Intergalactic transmission from a place beyond time. Intergalactic transmission from a place beyond time. I sound like Pam Gregory. A message is coming, be open-minded. So go watch Stefan Burns when he talks about the 3 gamma pulses that came out the day we discovered 3 massive blasts from the Sagittarius part of the sky that came at us on July the 2nd or something, or 3rd, exactly when we discovered this comet in our solar system. Like that, he thinks it was giving us a message like, I know you see me, I see you. Is that true? I don't know. But maybe we will see a message, be open-minded, from the object as it approaches closest it ever be to Earth before it goes on and approaches Jupiter in March. Okay. I'm going to show you the sky. I'm going to talk about the world based on a DC chart. Members of my Patreon community my Substack community get a much deeper dive on this when we get to my founding members meeting coming up on the 22nd, where we're going to also look at the charts of other nations and more predictions about world events based on this kind of sky. And if you're new here and you don't know that I have my 2024 All Signs, 26 All Signs bundle or individual bundles for sale, as well as my new membership community here on Patreon, on YouTube. All this information is in my description box. But that sale price that runs through December for 12 videos, 2 hours each, PDF guidebook, share with friends and family, listen for sun, moon, and rising. It's the best you're going to get of me giving you your future year ahead. I don't do personal readings very much anymore. Or you can get your individual sign for $22. It's in the description box. Let's get rolling. I taught a 2-hour class today and I did a live stream. So my voice is a little gone, but I'm going to do my best to talk without sounding like I'm croaking. This is literally the 21st of December at 10:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in Washington, D.C., when the sun slips into 0 degrees and 0 minutes of 0 minutes and right here, 00 of Capricorn. As the sun is ingressing here, and this isn't true every single solstice, right? Mars is not here, but once every 2 years, roughly speaking. But this is the proximity of only almost 5 degrees away from the sun is indicating to me a very powerful energy. Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. And on January 9th, he will be in the heart of the sun at 19 degrees of Capricorn. And the energy of that January the 9th rendezvous with the sun is this cosmic reset button. I'll be doing a webinar on that. It's too important. It's going to change your life for 2 years. And it's going to be relative to the Capricorn sky. So that's also available in my description box. But fundamentally, he's under the sun's beams and he's invisible as he's getting ready to die. And he's been invisible to the real eyeball all through November. So November, December, January, February, not till mid-March are we going to see Mars in our heavens again. Think about how long we don't see this planet, right? The question is, when he's invisible as a war god, does he create war or does he hide war? Does he blindside us with a war? Does he give us secret wars? I'm not sure, right? Mars represents killing, like shooters, and we had some really bad stuff going on lately regarding assassinations and stuff, but Mars was visible when, say, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. So that's a visible Mars story. So, for instance, that shooting, was it in Australia, in a market? Maybe it was like a supposedly shooting of Jewish people. A lot of people think false flags are always happening. I don't think anti-Semitism is rampant as they like you to think. So Mars would do false flags, secret wars, hidden stealthy things when he's hidden, as a general principle. Okay. The United States has we're not going to talk about that right now. So to my mind, what we're seeing in the sky for the United States of America and thus impacting the world, right, is the United States is adopting an ascendant in the sign of Aquarius. I find that fascinating because, of course, actually, the United States identity is truly connected to Sagittarius, the sign of missiles and things that fly through the air, including air travel. Interestingly, now it's acting more this Aquarian nature, right? With what asteroid there on the ascendant? Athena. Military. Athena is a military asteroid. She's also wisdom and knowledge, but she also connects to victory and war. So we can see maybe a war drum vibe here, but we also can see that as well. This is the ascendant in the sign of Aquarius, connected to placements that are very intimate to China. As an ascendant, China is an Aquarius rising. And Pluto is transiting over the moon and ascendant of China as we speak. And it bakes in a kind of affinity or alignment. It can either be an alignment with China that should shock and surprise the world, or an identification of going to maybe war with that country. It could happen in the next 3 months. This is only a 3-month chart. We could see evidence for some of those themes taking place. This chart indicates as well the possibility of some significant events connected to the dangers of things under the water, connected to the sea. The midheaven, which is in the 11th house of this chart, represents the political climate in the United States, the leaders, the governing energies, the executive branch, perhaps. Ceto is the asteroid goddess of the dangers of the sea and sea monsters and monsters in general. So when I think of sea monsters, and I don't think about, snakes under the water or whatever, dangers and monsters of the sea, I think of submarines. I do think of submarines, especially ones that are equipped with the word N. So I would wonder if the United States gets involved in something to do with dangers at sea, but under the sea, there you go to submarine energy, right? Unfortunately, the goddess of peace, Venus, is invisible in a sign of war. Why is it a war sign? Because Antares, a war star, exists around 10 degrees of Sagittarius on Mercury. It's possible the United States government will announce it's going to go to war. It can involve the dangers of water-based conflict, going to war off the shore of another country. That's what I've got for you. Now, typically, we don't think of the United States doing much military naval warfare anymore, other than maybe going to combat or police Taiwan against China and send military reinforcements there. That would work. The other one would be if it decides to accomplish something in Iran on behalf of Israel and does that by going into naval-based attack off the Straits of Hormuz or the Red Sea or whatever. So we have those possibilities as well. I'm talking 3 months, guys. December 20th, all the way through to March 19th or so, 20th. I was very accurate in my last forecast on Patreon, on my Substack, and here I mentioned it briefly, of a flare-up between Erika Kirk, announcements by King Charles, Erika Kirk and Candace Owens flaring into a catfight. It happened this week. I predicted it on videos before this. Skies are accurate. King Charles making an announcement just exactly when he made the announcement. It was exactly what the sky said he would do, just about his recovery from his cancer. So things like this continually always tell me the sky tells us true stories. Are we willing to read them? This definitely makes me think in a war sign, the United States will Mercury announce some kind of combat direction that's going to head into. Yet another combat direction. Yes. Could be Venezuela. I forgot about Venezuela. Huya, the rain god from beyond the sun, is a Venezuelan, okay, and maybe Bolivia, but certainly Venezuelan traditional indigenous god. And Huya is sitting on the asteroid here. There's the asteroid Juno. Juno is a goddess of contracts and agreements, can involve agreements around peace. This is Huya here. And so there's a Venezuela vibe up here. And then this is over here, Varda. Now, Varda is going to come into our story as a very important three-eye atlas narrative. It's mostly playing out in December, but Varda was sitting on the new moon, or the new moon was sitting on Varda, and she's an elf queen, wife of Manwe, and she's connected to the creation of the stars. All right, so we have energies here that connect us to also celestial objects of great mystery coming through the heavens, with the asteroid Urania as well activated. Did I forget to put it in? The asteroid Urania is sitting in here, right here on the lot of fortune in Aquarius in the DC chart. Urania is astronomy and things connected to outer space. The United States might get very involved in new wisdom and knowledge connected to things that are coming through our solar system or are connected to astronomy. That might be a big announcement energy because of the sextile to Mercury coming from the US about celestial objects connected to stars and outer space coming through the next 3 months after the 21st of December. And don't forget, 3i Ellis in March will approach Jupiter. So there's some more stuff ahead. I want to say when you look at a chart like this and you talk about like open enemies, right? United States is a Sag rising. Its open enemies are always found in Sagittarius, in over here in Gemini. But temporarily, United States gets a kind of 3-month vibration of being very Aquarius rising. What's fascinating is that solar return chart also puts it acting like an Aquarius rising over the July 25 to 26. I'll put that chart in here. That means its open enemies are connected to the part of the chart that's Leo. So in one of the charts for Iran, it has an ascendant at 17 degrees of Leo. Unfortunately, would make it look like possibly a strong focus on making Iran an open enemy in the 3 months that follows this ingress as well. And Taiwan, I believe, has a sun in Aries at the very least as well. We see that kind of energy to be considered. And Aries is got the chironic wound. Let's pull up the solar return chart for the United States of America. This solar return chart, July the 4th, 2025. We're going to do your sign, I promise. This is the world astrology. I want you to pay attention. I know I'm talking quickly. The United States clocked in on July 4th solar return as an ascendant rising sign in 7 degrees of Aquarius, putting it very close to the moon, the people, and the ascendant, the identity of China. It could be there's going to be a strange allying itself, coming into alliance rather than into disharmony with China, maybe for trade reasons. On the other hand, it could also just look like going to war against China. I don't know which one. War would be more protecting Taiwan from China with naval boats, ships, etc. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you see that if the United States has open enemies, there's Mercury in the solar return chart in the house of open enemies. So Mercury in the solar return chart, and therefore also coincidentally, the last chapter, the 3-month solstice chart, has a part of the sky that he's in charge of. He rules or owns the dominion of, right? The territory of, if you like. And he owns the territory of a difficult part of the sky. He owns the territory of the 5th house, which is just celebrity and media, okay, vis-a-vis the ingress chart and also the solar return. But he also rules the chart of death. And he's in a place that we could say the setting place. He's even below the horizon of this 3 months period. So that's when the sun goes down and people pass away to the darkness of the other life. And he owns Mars on the south node in a house in a mundane chart that can be connected to mass death. Typically, I'd say Mars in Virgo would more likely to bring on a killer flu than anything else under this kind of sky. That could be a possibility, but I'm not entirely certain. There's possibilities for also water calamities, and it bakes itself into the ingress with the star sheet, who has to do with water disasters, activated on watery Neptune, okay? And as well, there's a Poseidon narrative in the chart that I'm about to show you, the inner chart. That's Icarus. Somebody's falling from the sky who has a sacred devotion or calling or duty, or could be a young feminine female figure. And there's Apophis on the moon, and Poseidon is in here too. I'll get to Poseidon in a minute. And here's Apophis, the destroyer of the sun god Ra, the enemy of the sun god Ra, sitting here as well. So Apophis is like an asteroid that could destroy the Earth one day. And the moon is the people, and the people are in a condition of exile. They're not in good shape within the sign of Stoic Capricorn. And next to the moon is Metis. Metis is an interesting story. It's associated with wisdom, cunning, and strategic thinking, the ability to navigate complex situations with skill and foresight. Yes, we the people, where one is capable of the greatest critical thinking and planning and can see through deceptions. I'm going to tell you, I think this is the people that are going to be falling into a state of exile from what the leadership Jupiter tells them is the best path ahead. United States Sun and Jupiter are here. And it's going to lead to people seeing beyond deception. All right. This is what I'm seeing. You're going to see a lot of people rising up to press against what they think is the government of the United States deceiving them. This is about the USA. I'm reading the USA only here today. Maybe the people exalted going to protest. The people, Mars and the moon, are people fighting back, people protesting. This could be economic boycotts as well. This is the 2nd house of the United States of America, and the United States working labor force could go on strike in the next 3 months, right? The working class strikes, but also maybe even boycotts or protests financially as well. The coffers of the USA, its financial fiscal health belongs to the 2nd house. There is a destroyer asteroid, there's Icarus falling. There's the people disenchanted. It's probably going to be some economic turbulence because in the sign of the stock market where Algol sits, we still have Uranus. Okay. And in February, Uranus turns direct. But until then, we could see massive pullbacks in the stock markets off of this chart as well. Finally, I'm going to finish up this and go to your sign. I want to bring your attention to this. This is the 12-degree ascendant of the United States in its temporary condition on the asteroid Medea. Now, Medea is an interesting one. I want you guys to tell me what you think this is about. This is the temporary 3-month vibration of the identity of the United States through to the third week of March. Unwavering determination to achieve your goals no matter what. Okay, this is the entity of the United States, the identity. Seeking justice when one feels wrong, when one feels negatively, so the urge to seek justice when one feels wronged, when used negatively, can be a drive for revenge. It's an instinctive ability to know how to bring about transformation. So a pushback may be going on about people feeling wronged in the United States of America in some way, okay? Hopefully without the revenge story kicking in as well as a danger point. And finally, this little baby here is Poseidon. I wouldn't normally think too much of Poseidon, the sea god, the god of sea storms, the god of like Neptune, the god of the sea, but he's conjunct Pluto. And with Uranus on Algol for rotting bodies and corpses, I've got a couple options for you. An earthquake that leads to a tsunami, a fracturing of a dam, massive, unprecedented and destructive and life-taking floods in the United States connected to the US. Anytime between December 21st and as far out as the third week of March. And that is what I've got for you. I'm not going to do much more with this at this point. There's going to be a much deeper dive going on in my Substack founding members community video. I may be giving that to you guys perhaps later on as a replay. But if you want to find me on other platforms where I speak more freely, I'm certainly available on Substack where it's for free. I write all about the world astrology, can say what I want. It's a free newsletter. 7,000 people subscribed already. If you want to pay for your newsletter, the weekly and monthly content, there's a all signs write up portion as well. I'm writing over there. Usually I'm not doing video. And you might want to check out my members only here, and you might want to check me out on Patreon. If you love to learn, and I'm adding a new tier, the Lunar Inner Circle tier, coming up next year. If you love to learn astrology, it's mostly where I'm teaching a lot of content. So come join me there as well. All right, so let's get going and talk about your sign. The focal point of your sign is going to really take heed of the lunation, which is in Capricorn, and the exalted Mars as well. Both of those are standouts for me as they're going to be pivoting your reality in the next 3 months. And don't forget, Mars is invisible and not visible till March. So we got a sort of undercover Martian energy going through your Capricorn sky for 3 months. And we also have the energy of a moon in exile. And I'll give you some guidance and advice on how to handle this stuff. So hopefully you'll enjoy the next part of the story. We're going to go through each sign. I may be adding a card draw to it. I feel like we're in the winter time where everything is requiring us to go in to be more of the fallow, the quiet, the empty, still soil of time that we're in the Northern Hemisphere, of course. And you guys down under are having a nice summer, I hope. So I will draw from this, something I don't very often use, the Spirit Oracle deck. Okay. Because it's a time of year where we do want to go in the Northern Hemisphere inward and see what I have as a symbolic message for you about the 3 months ahead. But I'm also covering the astrology, of course. Let's get going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. You'll be seeing this video with 2 different outfits because I'm starting a recording on Sunday and I'm finishing it on Monday, and it comes out on a Thursday. And my Patreon community gets everything before you, early access, ad free. All right. So they'll be getting it before you. They always get everything before you without the ads. It's ad free as well. Perks of being over there. Ciao, ciao. See you in the appended all signs section. Go ahead, guys, and let's do your sign as we go through each of you, Aries through to Pisces, and how you're going to be able to use the last hurrah of this cycle, the 3 months that follows the winter solstice until our spring equinox, vernal equinox in March. So let's go ahead and do your sign. This is fun and playful. I'm going to add a little card draw here for the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. Don't forget, this is a useful tool, often misused or not used at all by many people, thinking it's only for world astrology. You can use the solstice chart, the last 3 months of the astrological year, to make some suggestions about what will be happening in your next 3 months forecast. So let's get started. I'm going to open us up to the sky, and we're going to go through individually on both the astrology and a very light touch on the card draw. So I'm going to begin with Aries, and let's get started for my fellow Aries. Well, welcome to my desktop. So the moon, by the way, I didn't mention this on the all signs, but the moon is actually up here on the ingress, right? On the asteroid Medusa. And Medusa is a myth, of course, of the Gorgon with the snakes on her head and turning men into stone, but it's also kind of connected to themes of decapitation and all of that as well from the algal star connection to the Medusa myth. So we're not going to cover that today, but it could very well be the long arm of the law is taking out a female Medusa in our collective stories. I'll be bringing that up a little bit closer to my video for Monday, coming up Monday the 22nd. So we'll talk about that story. So let's get going and look at Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. Don't forget I explain this every time, sun sign, career purpose, moon, home and home-based matters, but also thinking, feeling, qualities of who you are. The sun is your deep essential nature, and the rising sign is your simulation avatar character. So try all three. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. First thing you got to know is that every year, this is December 21st to the third week of March, you end up with this reset button at the end of the year in the 10th house of career. And it's kind of a fallow winter energy. It's connected those last 3 months as in the Northern Hemisphere cosmology, right? It doesn't matter if you live in the Southern Hemisphere. Western astrology is a dark and light Northern Hemisphere cosmology. It is a time in which you are going to be leaning into dispensing with and ending certain parts of your career space every year in order to birth something new. So you always do this. It's a normal routine. It's nothing special. But what's interesting to me about this particular solstice and its ingress is that there also is a Martian element. Mars is about passion and drive and ambition. And as the sun comes into the 10th house, look how close that sun and Saturn are. Oh my God, sorry about that. Let me put my phone on, no sounds. Look how close the sun is to Mars as the sun ingresses. In fact, we'll be connecting directly with Mars in January on the 9th. That's a whole big video. I've already put one out, but I'll be following up. And you might want to take the Mars webinar coming up in January 14th as well. But what I wanted to get to is you want to start something by ending something, because Mars, well, he may be passionate. He may be full of vim and vigor. He's your action, decision-making type energy. He takes you in new directions. Number one, he's invisible till March. But number two, he also often creates new beginnings by what you eliminate, right? Decide. You have to cut away one thing to take bisect, dissect, decide, cut in two, take the left road, not the right. So what you eliminate also informs what Mars does here. And so there will be a very big shift for most Aries as you go through the next 3 months of changing your career direction by letting go of parts of your work and career that don't work for you. And Mars up here could actually have you quit your job. Don't forget the sun is here every year. Mars isn't always right beside the sun. And so you might decide you're letting that part of your life go. You're changing professions, you're quitting your job. And even so, whatever you're working on, if you're not letting it go career-wise, purpose-wise, you're passionate, you're engaged, you're gung-ho, you have sustainability, endurance to keep on keeping on. And the reason is because this is a Mars exaltation in the sign of Saturn, and you're ever patient to keep on going. Mars is ruled with the sun, baking in a vibration of Saturnian influence from your 12th house, meaning that you might want to take some downtime, some solitude away from career, some creative downtime. You might be deeply reflecting on what your next move is. Some of you could even be looking at new ways to make money from borderless income, foreign people, foreign lands, or foreign companies. And Saturn's guiding this new direction. And the moon is in the 10th house. She happens to be in a condition of detriment. Okay, so the moon is in exile here from her home kingdom. And there's a sense there you might be feeling that emotional tempo of, dissatisfaction with the work you do in some area of the work you do. It doesn't have to be the whole career. Maybe you want a better office. Maybe you don't like the boss. Maybe, the hard work feels too hard. And that's okay. Life is like that. That is a new moon for a new beginning, but also a feeling of emotional stoicism, having to really grind into something and just bearing with it. Now, I'm an Aries sun, and I can say that some of my shift lately is to find more fun, playful ways to be engaged with my audience. Some of those are my outros. I'm teaching my class. By the time you get this, it will have happened. On 5 hacks for psychic ability. So I'm just finding ways that actually light me up a bit and bring me joy, and don't just feel like I'm on the treadmill of the same content creation cycle. So I don't know. You guys can reflect to me in the comments, fellow Aries. Where are you going with that? Finally, the other element of this ingress, right, is that the moon is opposite Jupiter, and it's also in a trine to Chiron. So what you see is a red triangle that we would call right here, a T-square, critical dynamic turning point energy regarding home, wealth, career, emotional discontent, chironic identity wounds. Something wants to turn a corner. Something wants to change. And sometimes it's as simple as choosing something new and different, because Mars is our chooser. No one's forcing us to stay where we are, do what we're doing, be in the situations professionally or in the public eye that we're in. And I say that for each of you, I don't care if you're like working in a hair salon, Starbucks, or, the White House. We all have choices we can make. We can choose differently and choose from a place where you recognize the zone in which the joy is not happening, right? The moon wants to be with Jupiter in the 4th house, maybe more fun in your home, joy in the home, more prosperity in and from the home. Things like that. I think a lot of you will change your career trajectory to be more emotionally satisfying in the 3 months that follows this through choices, decisions, and actions that you're planning to take, especially in the middle of March when Mars is becoming visible. Now, what I'm going to do is draw a card from Kyle Gray's Angels and Ancestors and give you a Hermit card. Well, you can't make this stuff up, particularly because I focus on the Hermit. I said you need some solitude, some downtime. That's the 12th house Saturn ruling the Mars, cutting away from career ambition and full focus on career for a little hermity, retreat and recharge. I don't even think I need to read the card, right? Because it's quite self-evident. I'm not sure if I'm going to read every card, because that keeps me here longer than I'd like. Today's a day where I've had a client. I've got to teach 2 classes and record videos for you. Today is December 17th. So retreat and recharge, and take time, fellow Aries, to rest and recuperate in order to continue your growth. I'm taking all of January off. I'm not seeing any clients. I'm just keeping on with my YouTube content creation. Benefit from the information that will come directly from your heart space. So ask for solitude, meditation, going within, arriving in the cave of your heart. And it also says if you've been working hard and giving your all to your current situation, it may become draining and detrimental to your development unless you retreat and recharge your energies. I'm going off to a hot, cold plunge on a mountain in January. I've got it all set up, I think. So you are being guided to take a step back at this time. If you are working on bringing something together, your over-involvement could impede the process, so retreat and breathe. If you have something to say or do that could have an impact on your life, spend some time in deep thought, even in contemplation, before you move forward. And it is the fallow, it is the winter in the cosmology of light. We don't see how destructive our actions can be when we rush in, so meditate and listen to your soul's wisdom before you proceed further. That is exactly the message my Aries sun and moon needed to hear. How about you guys, fellow Aries? Can you help me see how you're dealing with your reality? Whoa! Wait till Saturn and Neptune enter our sign next year. Oh my God. It's going to be a fun time. All right, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. We have a solstice 3-month forecast. How do you navigate those 3 months from December 21st to the 3rd week of March this time around with ambition and full turbocharged Mars? Right now, you're plotting major changes in your 9th house. 9th house can be many things. For one thing, it's pilgrimages, foreign lands, and foreign shores. Mars loves to travel, And in this placement, it could bake in a 3-month period in which some of you take a trip abroad. The other energy is your educational, higher educational, academic settings, or maybe even matters connected to spiritual community and religious path as well. You're making major choices and decisions in the Mars-infused solar ingress connected to a new moon. Where in this new moon have you felt a little bit like you have had emotional containment or emotional restriction, or just feeling a little bit emotionally heavy in the 9th house? Is that because, traveling abroad hasn't happened? Court and legal and academic things haven't fulfilled what you wanted emotionally or satisfied you deeply? Is there any chance here too that there is a situation going on, 9th house, where you have a foreigner or foreign situation that is legally challenging you? And that often happens when or court cases just in general with the Mars placement, going to battle in a legal setting, and it's emotionally distressing. With Jupiter across the way from this, Jupiter across the way in his exaltation, witnessing this moon is a bit of a soothing energy. Jupiter is trying to help out. There may definitely be a travel plan here. I can see that you might want to take a journey. It doesn't have to be far off lands. In this case, the moon would prefer to travel more domestically or closer at hand. And for some of you, this could also lead to a relocation to a new home in a different city, or some of you even maybe another country. The energy of Saturn ruling the moon, ruling the new moon ingress here, like ruling the sun, ruling the moon, ruling Mars. It's Saturn in the house of career, ambition, goals, and dreams, as well as financial prosperity and gains from your career. Now, it's also the house of friendship. So there may be a lot of internet connected pieces where traveling to visit a friend or with friends is one of your agendas, but also how do you want to prosper in your career? How do you want to visualize your long range plans in your life? You're asked to go deeper into a place that involves meaning and purpose. And if meaning and purpose is on your agenda, things should go a lot better, because this is a recalibration of career earnings and purpose and meaning in one's life. The T-square to Chiron could have a free breakthrough moment regarding addiction, self-undoing, bad habits, and patterns. You might be able to crack the code of being your own worst enemy. That would come through education, Jupiter, even the Mars, and making pivotal turning points to rely on a divine power, a higher power, to help you navigate those addictive, self-undoing, self-sabotaging patterns and habits that may have worked their way into your life, as they do with almost everyone in time. So take a look at that pattern breaker that could happen here. And let's take a look next. And one more thing about the 9th house. It can be about a father figure, and Mars is very cutting, ending, and severing energy. So you might have the potential for some kind of authority figure, father figure, ending, cutting off, recalibrating that relationship. Unfortunately, with Chiron, a medical type asteroid in the house of hospitals, squaring the sun in the house of father figures, it's conceivable that one of your father figures may be not doing so well, Grandpa Joe or whatever. In the 3 months that follows the sky, they may be in a hospital setting. Now, you've got to see things from a higher eagle view. Okay, why? Seriously? Well, that's the 9th house where this solar ingress happens every year. It's one of the top of the sky positions. And so being at the top of the sky, having a higher perspective on your reality is probably called forward. You got to see everything right now from a higher perspective. I mean, like I said, it's not that you would take a pilgrimage every winter solstice, but you also have Mars there, and Mars loves to go on big adventures. So I can see that you would want to plan or take or arrange a pilgrimage, a far off land adventure in the 3 months that follows this particular card. Now, the eagle just says see things from a higher perspective. It's pretty self-evident, but when you fly higher, you see new possibilities. So this card is encouraging you to recognize your views or vision may be limited at this time. There may be a chance that your own desperation, needs, or ego could be blocking you from seeing potential in your current situation. If there are other people involved, you are being guided to see things from everyone's perspective. If you are feeling the need for something to change, how can you take a higher road? Know that if you have intentions that aren't for the highest good, it will only hold you back. Eagle medicine can help you change this. The eagle brings the energy of healing and love directly from the heart of Father Sky. It's in the father house, father figure house, the 9th house, and invite you to do all things from a place of love. Now, in Western tropical zodiac, we use the 10th house for father figures, and Vedic astrology also use, or mostly use, the 9th house. So both are true. So let's see what that means for you as time passes on and we go into the next storyline. But I'd say, yeah, get a higher perspective on things. Get a godly perspective, the house of God. All right. What is a godly perspective? It's a surrendered, equanimous, trust life perspective. It's all going to work out one way or the other. Even if you don't think it's working out, it's working out. If you are a Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign, you're going to notice that we have a very interesting solar ingress, as we do every year in your 8th house. You get used to this story. You know, every December to March, you have to go, well, hey, I've got a reset button in my 8th house. What does it mean? And it particularly means that in this next 3 months, you're focused on your taxes, your accounting, your bank statements, your loans, your mortgages, your shared resources, your inheritance money, your spousal support, your royalty income, your ad income from Google, your investments in the markets. All of this is an area of focus every year. But now we have Mars, Mr. Ambition. But he also cuts, severs, and ends. He's exalted. His exaltation here is important. You know, we're going to be making some very powerful changes in those types of monetary stories. This is also the occult house where you spend time with, I talk to dead people, occult mysteries and magic, paranormal and supernatural stuff. You might be really inclined to get quite excited, very passionate about something in those areas as it applies to your work, because Mars is a ruler of the life, your work house. So occult elements, more mysterious, magical, supernatural, coming into your work environment in some particular way. And I don't mind Mars's sextile to the North Node at this ingress of the sun. So it kind of bakes in a desire to expand your worldly success in a connection to the themes I've discussed, including, again, reviving your financial stories. Jupiter across the way from the moon. Let's talk about that ingress story. Wow, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 crows flying through the sky in front of me. Anyway, so there you go. 7 crows has meaning, I'm sure. You could also look at the energy of the moon being stoic, hardworking, but also feeling a little bit heavy emotionally about matters to do with money, perhaps. And Jupiter's so happy and buoyant and trying to make a lot of money for you, but he's retrograde. So he's deepening his bounty. He's looking deeper. He's trying to figure out, you know, true, wise, and good ways for more abundance to come as he retrogrades here now through till March 11th. But you can see that Jupiter moon energy working itself out through the chironic wound in the 11th house. Sometimes all that means is that the means by which we're earning money doesn't feel meaningfully, purposefully enough oriented. Like Chiron says, the key to purpose. And you might find, yeah, I'm making money, but I don't really feel truly on purpose. So if that's the case, you're going to try to shift that in the next 3 months to move more into more purposeful, meaningful work connected to your talents and gifts that you've acquired through some of the most difficult hardships of your life. Now we have a flock of, I don't know how many crows, probably 24. That's weird. Crows don't usually fly together at this time of day. How weird. I like you for the idea that you could open up a doorway here of a new type of way to earn money from your career, a new avenue of earnings that's separate from anything you've done before. And I think that with the Mars in the 8th house, you're really, it's like having an executive command, executive decision-making power based on realistic outcomes. And Saturn says it's all about your career. So it's realistic, long game strategies that are practical, connected to matters of career, and that will work in the long run. And you're making these choices and rearrangements and decisions. Only thing I want to say that if you're in a relationship that doesn't seem to be working, then Jupiter, the ruler of your marriage house, opposite a moon in exile, there's something going on where there may be some complications in a relationship regarding separation of assets and having to divide them. And it might be a very emotionally challenging time, these 3 months ahead for some of you. Now, the card I want to get to support you through this journey, again, taking more meaning into the career space, purpose and meaning called out for you. It's not enough to be wealthy. You want to have meaningful wealth, wealth that comes from something that you are emotionally satisfied by as well. So you got mountains, stand your ground. You have Saturn, the mountain goat ruled guy. Capricorn is the mountain goat, the sea goat actually, but connected to goats and mountains. So stand your ground. All right. And that makes sense. Capricorn is sea goat and mountain and goat energy. So stand your ground, and Saturn in the 10th house. It's lots to do with standing your ground, perhaps regarding money and career-based matters. So let's go ahead and look at mountains. That can include some of you a desire to retire. Mars can cut through the 8th house and say it's time to retire or really quit some area like a retirement. So hold firm to what you believe in or are focusing on in your life right now, fellow Geminis. My sun is there, progressed, because it's absolutely right. Know that heaven and earth are indeed supporting you. Mountain energy is powerful because it's firmly rooted in the Great Mother and reaches high to the Great Father. And if you're feeling challenged or pressured at this time, know that your spirit is more powerful than you think. You are resilient, grounded, and the energy and air of the mountains is giving you unshakable strength to be who you are. I'm actually going up to the mountains in January to save my soul. Take your time to root yourself deep in the energy of the earth before welcoming in the energies of heaven. If you're not sure what you need to do next, the mountain card invites you to stay exactly where you are, talk things over with those around you, and know that change will come to you. You will be whole and well at the end of this current situation, 3 months, and it will not stand in the way of future growth or expansion. Okay, so you see the vibe. It's exactly the card is describing what I tried to share with you. So I feel that those two are really nicely dovetailed. How do you guys feel? Alrighty, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. First things first, what does it mean to have every single winter around the 21st of December to the third week of March, a solar reset in your 7th house? It always allows you to reset your relationship to your audience, your clients, your marketplace, your business partners, or your significant other. So you get the chance to recalibrate every year around the same time. But this time with Mars here, it makes it much more intense, especially because he's, of course, exalted. And as he comes through this part of your sky, there may be some major changes occurring in the 3 months ahead in relationship to your audience, marketplace, or significant long-term love partner. Well, you're Jupiter. Right now, you've got Jupiter love going through you. I could say you're probably generous, magnanimous, big-hearted. You're probably wise. You're probably lucky. And you're carrying this archetype within you. It's exalted Jupiter, all right? And generally opposite an exalted Mars. And so right now, if your partner's going through a hard time, you could be like a really positive influence on them. If your love partner is angry at you, you can let it roll off your exalted water. You could work with that energy. It can be very powerful and transformative. If you don't have a partner, it's really about the audience and the marketplace and the people you serve and some interesting energy coming through the sky. Having a moon in exile, you might feel exiled, or your partner feels exiled from each other, or you might feel a kind of sense of distance and emotional ennui or boredom with the types of clients or people that you've been serving. And it's time to close up shop, because this would be like quitting one way of meeting your marketplace, making a change because of the exile of the moon, because you're not emotionally satisfied. So closing down some aspect of business, for example. Because this is also going to be a new moon, it represents a new beginning. So as you close down one door, another will begin to open. Of course, for some of you, an emotionally dissatisfying long-term relationship could be getting ready for some signals in the next 3 months about closing it down, right? New beginnings, because this has to come to an end. Saturn rules this ingress, and of course, the new moon / Mars here. And so Saturn is all about the energy of being responsible and dutiful. And it does involve matters that can connect you to legal contracts, courts, visas, passports, foreign lands. but also maybe matters connected to purpose and meaning in life. And, say you're closing down one avenue of working with certain customers, clients, or audience members or marketplace, because Saturn says, are you actually finding the meaning and the purpose here, the dharmic energy that you really desire? And if it's not true, that you're not, you may walk away from some element of work and business that may have preoccupied you for at least 2 years. Now, with this triangle pointing at Chiron, there is a chironic wound asking to be healed in your career house. And often, like Chiron is the key to purpose, really, gifts and talents naturally being expressed through the hardships of life, the hard-won natural talents you have because you've lived through the difficulties and now you've got the golden gifts from those challenges of life. And you want to bring a key to purpose to your career. And so again, a lot of this looks like lucky Jupiter shifts in your career. Even if you don't, it may not be hard. Someone may walk into your life, a Martian energy, and help you snip an old cord and move into a new direction in your career. So Mars can be a person too, right? So like someone comes in and says, you know what? I got a great offer for you and let's move you into new directions. And you go, okay, I love that idea. Anybody could do that here. Mars can represent the individual bringing in the offer, maybe a male, but it doesn't have to be that obvious. It could just also be an understanding. It's time to close old doors in your career, to be on purpose, to get rid of the emotional boredom or dissatisfaction with the marriage partner, business partner, or path of career and those people that you serve. Finally, Mars is, sextiling the North Node and, beautifully trying the South Node. It's got a beautiful wedge energy. So it's a fated destined shift around the things I've just described. And for a very few of you, it could move you for your work to a new location, a new place to live because of the work shifts that are happening here. Any of you want to get some success in the publishing, podcasting, and book publishing industry with the sextile from Mars to the North Node in the 9th, your audience and marketplace await you, and you probably could do very, very well. Mars, by the way, rules your house of artistic, creative, and entrepreneurial chutzpah. And in that regard, that looks very good. And he does, of course, rule your career space. So you see how the gears are grinding to make some changes there. Career, creativity, entrepreneurial, artistic endeavors. Now we shall go and we shall draw you a card. And let's see what we get from Kyle Gray's Angels and Ancestors deck. We have the Medicine Guardian, and that looks like be open to healing information. Now, that one surprises me based on kind of what I'm seeing here. But Chiron is the healer, okay? Chiron is the archetypal medicine man. So we see something wants to heal. It doesn't have to be your body. All right, it could be healing the career wound that you've been dealing with since 2019, kind of trying to calibrate purpose and career into one wholesome direction. Listen to what is coming up within you and what is being shared with you by trustworthy others in your life. Pay attention to healing information. Oh, that works too, because Saturn, the ruler of the ingress, is in your 9th house of mentors, guides, coaches, and spiritual advisors. And so you're being exposed to information or insights that will have a dramatic healing effect on your whole life. And if you're working through something mentally or emotionally, know that there are spiritual energies supporting your healing. I should also say you could go back to school or take some longer-term education to shift the direction of your career under the sky in the next 3 months. If you're working through something that is physically challenging, pay attention to information that's coming to you that feels inspired and warm to support your wellness. Angels are here to remind you, your angels, not just angels, your angels are here to remind you your natural state is one of wholeness, and you are on the road to revealing that wholeness once more. I actually said the word wholeness for you already. That's weird. I think it was a whole direction, wholeness in your career. Cool, guys. All right, Leo. Sun ingress into the sign of Capricorn every year at the same time, around the 3rd week of December to the 3rd week of March. Puts you into a 3-month story. This time we have Mars also with the Sun. He exalted in Capricorn. And it's really also what we call a place of his joy. Mars in the house of his joy. It could indicate a passionate ardor for work, working hard, but with excitement and perseverance, discipline, and the long game. You might be moving into some kind of work that you really, really like, or away from some kind of work that you really don't like, because the emotional, stoic, kind of bored or out of nurturance lunation here, new moon, could indicate cutting, severing from some kind of livelihood path that is no longer working for you. You just know it's not nurturing your soul. It's just not feeling like your direction, a job, a career path, any of those things are true. And Mars is ruled by Saturn in what we can call the 8th house, which, I mean, it's kind of a retirement space. So you might find yourself sort of choosing Mars to retire away from that career, that job, that particular work environment. And with the energy of the kind of new moon, ultimately any exit strategies can lead to new beginnings. So if you drop one thing, a new one will come up, and maybe pretty quickly in the next 3 months. Now, pets belong to your 6th house, and not every solstice ingress has Mars here. Mars is hard on the pet, right? So it can be the loss of a pet, health challenges for the pet, separation from the pet. Jupiter across the way in the house of hospitals, emotional sorrow or depression because of a loss of a pet. I'm just going to tell you the truth, right? I'm not going to pretend all rainbows and unicorns. That's what I'm seeing. Be careful with your health, because Mars can bring fevers, rashes, heat, and inflammation. Technically, be careful for your knees in the next 3 months. And all that said, though, because this Mars combination here, Mars is a ruler of your 4th house, and the 6th house is a rental property position. Mars may incite you to cut away from one home, domicile, stop renting it, rent your own property out, and move, or move to a new property, a new rental property. Alrighty. Mars is also, of course, ruling that chironic wound that creates a T-square here. That's in Aries, his kingdom. And so there's something he's trying to get Chiron to do to align you with meaningful work. Meaning and purpose, 9th house, work 6th house, Jupiter, lucky opportunities, backroom deals and negotiations, anyone in the next 3 months regarding your work. Chiron exists as well in a house of distant lands and foreign shores. Some of you may want to travel, but if you do, it's because you're sort of cutting away from work for a bit, maybe taking some time out. And Jupiter is also in a foreign lands and distant shores house. So Mars could invite that kind of journey, travel, pilgrimage, meaningful journeys coming in the next 3 months after this moon. And yes, you could just go to a Margarita Beach, but it also could take you to a spiritual retreat, an ashram, a trip to India, or, the El Camino. Those kinds of vibes are here as well, and would probably be a nice way to go about it. Now, on a very subtle level here, Saturn is in your 8th house of death and rules your marriage house. Sextiles Mars, cutting, severing, and ending. It just means that some of you may be getting ready to move out of an existing relationship. Look at Pluto there for some of you. And this could just be some of the steps that are needed, because where Mars is sitting, it's kind of like your karmic debt house. So if an existing relationship needs to end, maybe that's why some of you are moving, right? To move into your own home, separate from a partnership that's no longer working for you. The card I just drew for you is surprising because it's spring. And this, of course, is nothing to do with the spring. But what doesn't surprise me is that Chiron is in Aries, the sign of spring. So there is some chironic wound to being purposefully motivated in your career path, perhaps, or finding spiritual community or the right religion, or connecting to higher principles or faith and belief. And this is going to be Mars trying to get you to turn that around and find a guru or a spiritual teaching or a spiritual path. Jupiter helps with that in your 12th. But there's a spring, like a rabbit, a big hare springing forward. See your seeds grow. Let's take a look at what the card says about spring. One of the seasonal cards. It's almost pointing you to the Aries season when we have a vernal equinox. Yeah. Embrace the change that's on the horizon and allow your dreams to become a reality. So if you're ready, my dear Leos, to bring to life all of your ideas, your inspirations, and your projects, when this card appears, you're moving into a space that allows you to really grow, expand, and create in a way that you've never done before. There are opportunities for abundance, including financial growth. Saturn is in your one of your financial abundance houses, ruling this Mars, Sun, Moon, Ingress. And if you're starting something new, prepare for a major expansion in your life and your soul. When the spring card arrives in the future position, or as a last card, we'll call it like appropriate to this April. It can indicate March, April. It can indicate that the coming spring will usher in an important energy with regards to your question or your intention. Well, this place where the solstice is happening, winter solstice, is about work. Okay. So try to align much of the meaning here to do with your work or your health, but it really has a stronger work signature. The only way I'd say it goes with health issues is your knees, your pets and their health, or the need to take a time out, like a ashram or a rehab clinic or some getaway that's all about rejuvenating your health. And that could make more sense as well. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Every year, without fail, the sun starts off around Christmas time, December 21st, in your 5th house of romantic love, fertility, passion projects, art, creativity, entrepreneurship, fun, joy, play, and pleasure. This is a place where you find fortune. Good fortune resides here. So this is a good house. And so something about you, the 3rd week of December to the 3rd week of March every year, has a kind of fresh start here in this part of the sky. This time around, it's accompanied by Mars, and Mars is action. Mars is determination, decisions. He's got stamina. He's got intense exaltation here. And if you go back through your life, because Mars will accompany the sun here approximately every 2 years, not always this tightly bound to the sun, you might find that you really make major life decisions regarding relationships kind of on an every roughly 2-year cycle, right? Like to stay or go. Mars here can mean some of the more difficult stories like miscarriages or choosing not to continue with a child, an abortion. And so therefore, when Mars is here, sometimes I wonder if you make those decisions. So we're talking about December, January, February, 3rd week of March. So I have a person I know who's a Virgo who actually had to have a terminated pregnancy, right, for very good reasons during that same period of time when Mars was here before. So you'll see the cycle can repeat. One thing about Mars here is that if you have anything you're passionate about that's creative or artistic or even side hustle entrepreneurial, he's going to give you a new zest for that thing. And you're going to find yourself completely excited by that. And it's going to last for 3 months. And you might just even launch or start some kind of new moon here, new beginning in some entrepreneurial or creative business or creative projects, etc. The moon, however, feels a little bit bummed out. And the moon does rule fertility and motherhood, opposite very luscious and pregnant with lunar energies, Jupiter. The moon wants to be over with Jupiter, by the way, having great expansion in one's career. For some of you, there may be something going on with one of your children that's kind of taking you down, if you have kids, and bumming you out a bit, where, you're going, oh my God, I have to focus on helping my child make these decisions, or my child's moving out of the home, or my child's making all these major decisions. And I'm watching on the sidelines and they're going through an emotional time. With the energy of Saturn ruling this solstice ingress, Saturn may be about your partner, your long-term committed love partner, and they're going through a bit of an emotional, difficult time regarding their creativity, their passion, their pleasure, or their own children. Depends on what you're looking for, but Mars can just represent sexual energy and exalted sexual energy. And it may be increasing December, January, February, right into March. You might find yourself having a new zest for sexual fun with someone significant and long-term partner in your life, Saturn. So it's good for rejuvenating some of the sexual energy in a relationship that has gone into flagging romantic sexual passion, right? It can rejuvenate it and even bring some spiritual energy to that relationship. It is also leisure travel. So if you want to travel just for fun, and again, with a significant other, that could also open up again some new passion, especially given Mars rules short-term travel, like short distance travel. So going off, within your state or at least in your country to some getaway for leisure travel opportunity. We're looking at December 21st. The vibe kind of rolls out for 3 months. It will be very good for your relationship. Now, where we see the crisis energy is chironic wounds in the house of inheritances, chironic wounds in the house of money from spousal shared resources, taxes, debts, credit cards, banking, loans, and mortgages. So something's going on here. It could be you, or it could be your children's money issues, and they're hitting a crisis point. You're probably doing well financially in your career right now, relatively speaking, or with Jupiter deepening the bounty, it might be slowing down so that you can go forward again in March in a more powerful way. But you do have some career luck here. And Chiron is kind of maybe about how you handle that money, how you make that money make money, how you want to combine your money with your spouse. And you're working through some older wounds since 2019 around money that doesn't belong to you and in your relationship to it, like your partner's money, like spousal separation, like inheritances. And that's what I've got for you. Let's go ahead and grab a card from the Angels and Ancestors by Kyle. What's his name? Kyle Gray. Kyle Gray. I'm losing the light. The sun is going down. It's dark at 4:00 now in Vancouver, Canada. Okay, hold the space. Be a druid. Oh my goodness, that's interesting. Druid. Okay, so don't make any sudden moves right now. No sudden changes. Stand strong, knowing you are where you're supposed to be. Well, Mars wants to make decisions, but he's not visible till March, right? Mid-March. So that makes sense about major life decisions connected to work and career. That makes sense. So hold off on those decisions that you're not quite ready because you don't really know the lay of the land. So you're being guided to dig deep within and hold your station. If you're wondering what to do next or have a sense of anxiety about what life is unfolding in your life, and it's about your career, if you ask me, career and work, it's time to shift your perceptions and move back to a state of trust. Don't change your plans or do anything drastic yet. Just trust in the process and let everything happen as it needs to before making any major steps. Think of a tree. It has strong roots, yet continues to grow and bear fruit. Your life will be a reflection of this. And I will encourage everyone, knowing that Mars is not visible, that decisions we make when he's invisible, since he rules choices and decisions, may be ill-informed. So understand that change is happening, but the clarity of decision-making may not be available until mid-March. So change is happening, but decisions and actions that follow these changes may be delayed until closer to the third month. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. First things first, you are having this yearly, every year, same time of year, third week of December to third week of March. You have a reset button in the house, home, property, land, real estate, private life, mother, house of the mother, house of your family of origin, house of your local domicile where you live. So there's always something going on here every year, not always with Mars. That's the key. So this time it's the Mars Sun energy, which is change. Mars wants to move or travel from home or make some major home change decisions. And because there's a moon here that is a place of boredom, discontent, kind of holding it together, maybe feeling like emotionally rigid. Something about changing home is important for you. And it's very much about as well what Saturn wants. And this is a house of rentals. Is it time to rent your property out to someone else and go on an adventure internationally? Is it time to become a tenant of a new property? I can see that too. And with the North Node in a flow to the Mars Sun energy, any changes of home connected to rental property environments should go extremely well. This can also bring you a fated and destined new pet in the home. That's one of the kinds of changes that may occur here, is getting a pet in these 3 months that follows. One thing about Mars in the fourth house is it's kind of like very expat or exile from your homeland, and exalted at that. Some of you might spend significant time abroad in the 3 months, traveling to other lands or countries, spending time away from your native homeland. And because this is also forming a T-square, in which this is going to be Moon, Jupiter, Chiron energy playing out here. Alrighty, well, this is December 21st, 22nd, but it bakes in a vibe that lasts until the end of the 3 months. It looks like a grinding, pivotal turning point may occur through a change of home connected to career, a change in your relationship status connected to home, a change of home, career, and relationship altogether, all of that. Now, one thing I would say to you is that with Jupiter so beautifully placed in your 10th house, and with Mars in the fourth house, a lot of this changes of domicile is connected to probably either the two things I'm going to mention: a change of position and work, a change of work, or a change of money and prosperity connected to your work, because Mars is a ruler of your earnings and, money intake and savings and pocketbook wallet, and the Sun rules your career gains directly. So it could be a fortuitous relocation connected to a level of financial career gain. Now you're going to be making money, but in a persistent, disciplined, focused way, right? And if you work with audience, clients, and marketplace in any way, like you serve people, you sell to people, you have an audience or you have a marketplace in the public eye, or even not just public, just, you have to serve a bunch of clients. That could also indicate where some of this increase in change is happening. But if you've been struggling in your long-term committed love relationship, there's going to be a change of this away from the struggle, I'd say, with Jupiter's onlooking energies. If you're single, you're probably going to find yourself wanting to heal your relationship to relationships so that a new relationship can emerge. Let's go ahead and see if we get a card that makes sense for you. What is the message of this particular fourth house solstice time? Broken arrow. Broken arrow. Mars cuts and ends, and he's angular. End the job, end the relationship, end the home, end this, end where you live. Embrace the energy of peace, though. That's quite nice, because we don't want arrows flying at us, right? So it's like, it's like a truce, I bet. I bet you it's kind of like a truce. If you've been arguing with a significant business or love partner, this could be cutting out the arguments and coming into harmony, actually. That would work in this chart. Let go of the need to defend yourself and prepare to offer peace. Peace treaties. You are safe. So if you've been exposed to a situation that you felt the need to protect yourself or defend what you feel is right, now is the time. Now this time is coming to an end. With the arrival of the broken arrow card, you're guided to know that the energies of light are entering to wash away all the darkness. You can drop your shields and protection. You are in a situation that will honor you and honor your needs. Arguments are ending, disagreements are being resolved, and the wound is in the house of business and love partners, just so you know. Prepare to talk things through and offer the peace that you would like to enjoy and to move forward. In order to move forward in a more fearless way, it's important for you to let go of the idea that you can be hurt by this situation or any of the people involved. That includes trolls on this chart. Know that your angelic guides and ancestors are standing around you, protecting you and taking you lovingly forward. Oh, I like that so much for you guys. Let me know if that feels right or true for you. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. First things first. Every single year, third week of December, third week of March, that window of 3 months opens up a reset button in your third house. What is your third house? Well, your third house is all about your local environment, neighbors and neighborhood, siblings, things connected to your daily routines and the places you go and your daily tasks and habit, like when I go here, I go there, go to the gym, I go to the supermarkets. It can connect you to the online social media sphere, media in general. And it's a house that's connected to communicating, marketing, selling, and sometimes learning and teaching in a skills-based way. All of that said, this Cadent third house gets a reset button here. And for some of you, sometimes it means you will have a desire to move your home to a new neighborhood. And especially with the moon in its fall here, its exile here, you might feel like there's something about your neighborhood that exiles you from people. Maybe you live too far away from some of your friends. There may be a desire to shift that because the chironic wound is in the house of rental properties. But you may also be changing your job because there's too much work, too much commuting, too much back and forth. And you might want to make a change there as well. And if you don't think about wanting to make the change will happen anyway. Mars makes change happen in that third house. Now, Mars likes to take adventures, and this is a third house of short distance travel. There may be some local gallivanting in the 3 months that follow, where you're going off on little trips here and there, investigating your country or cities in your country or your state. So or province or wherever. So some shorter distance travel opportunities coming through. We don't always have Mars this close or even here at all on an ingress point. Having the moon, though, here, there's definitely an emotional dissatisfaction. It could be in a sibling relationship, especially a sibling younger. It could be something to do with some emotional dissatisfaction and containment regarding your marketing and selling and communicating obligations, especially if you work in fields that require that. You may be bored or burned out because ultimately you're looking for the key to purpose in work and being aligned with meaning. Jupiter supports that as well. And in the opposition to the moon, for some of you, you might even find yourself entering into a new educational setting. We could call it professional education designed to take you into more satisfaction in work. Some of you may be out also with this kind of sky, engaging in work opportunities from international companies or foreign places and foreign lands. And maybe for some of you, that involves a lot of travel, or potentially for some of you, a move. Saturn is the ruler of this ingress and happens to be in the house of romantic love. Therefore, it's possible as well that some of you might be having a new romantic relationship come with somebody you meet through travel. If you're artistic, entrepreneurial, and creative, and you use a social media sphere, you might be passionate and driven, working your ass off to get some more juice out of the stuff you're creating in a sustainable and long-term way. If you wanted to make something like a new website or a course or a product or write something, Mars gives you stamina and intense focus here. It kind of bakes that in for 3 months. It's a good time to finish the manuscript, right? Or finish the songs on your album or something like that. And Saturn allows for the steadfast discipline in your creativity as well. And there's a flow to the North Node of Fate, increasing your good fortune. And that good fortune has a lot to do here, perhaps, with you feeling fortunate. Mars is your ruler. You feel lucky. You feel fortunate. And the 3 weeks that follow. Maybe because you're more creative, maybe your entrepreneurial stuff is taking off, maybe your love life is leisure travel or short distance travel, and your love life are picking up a lot more positive energy, and more emotional satisfaction can come through, because it's sort of like Mars wants to end here or cut away that which makes you feel bored or numbed out. You know, the moon is not in good shape. Excuse me. So let's move on to your card. Sorry, guys. Don't ask. The great teacher. Jupiter is the great teacher. He's in your 9th house of God, which is also where pulpits, preachers, gurus all sit. Learn from spiritual experiences. With Jupiter opposite the moon and opposite Mars and opposite the sun, exalted and retrograde in your 9th house, I'm going to read the card, but it really also could be it's time not only to travel to foreign lands and shores because you're so bored of the local environment, but to take up a spiritual path, a religion, a meditation practice, to find a spiritual body of knowledge you want to adhere to find a spiritual teacher and follow their lead. Okay, so let's take great teacher. That looks like Jesus. Give me a minute. Okay, know that what is happening around you is divinely inspired. Learn from your current experiences and share them with others. This card can represent a teacher in your life or the great teacher within. It shows you that you have dedicated a lot of time, effort, and energy to understanding yourself and the world. And you are, Scorpio, having a spiritual experience at this time, gaining greater awareness. Well, I agree. The houses 9 and the houses 3 and the houses 6 are metacosmos, between the worlds, mysterious, magical, and spiritual houses. There's a great chance that if you've been having any challenges recently, you've surmounted them and you've allowed them to be vehicles or lessons that are helping you with your spiritual connection. If you feel that you've received messages from heaven, the house of God, right, where Jupiter sits, or the universe recently, this card is confirmation those have indeed been holy experiences. Yeah, when Jupiter goes every 12 years for your 12th, 9th house, is exaltation. It's always going to be a door for you of spiritual knowledge and wisdom. And it happens to overlap with this third week of December to third week of March, baking in more of that. Give me more of that, Or maybe some really good luck in areas of publishing, book publishing, podcasting, as well, the 9th house energies as you continue to write or work on your projects in the 3rd house. Let's move on to the next sign because I'm losing my voice. Yes, I had a long day. I've been teaching. I've got more classes to teach. Yeah, I had a client. Alrighty, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. The first thing you need to think about is how you every year will reset your financial stories based on a solar ingress. It's always a good time of year for you, the 3rd week of December to the 3rd week of March, for you to undergo a kind of an audit of your savings, your spending, changes to regards to your financial wealth and health. And so also dietary change. When Mars is here this time around, it can significantly reduce your attachment to addictions or substances that are not good for you to put through your mouth or your nose, right? There's a logic to that. Mars rules your house of addictive substances and habits and patterns, and he's cutting through your nose and mouth placement. Like, let's get rid of those things. Time to let them go. So it's a really good cleanse time for you, and maybe you routinely do dry Jan. Maybe you always cleanse at this time of year, but cleansing is called forth really more intensely now because of Mars's placement here. The moon is there's a moon in a stoic, hard, emotionally numb, maybe bored or hardened aspect energetically, a hardened way of being. And you could feel this kind of emotional discontent regarding your dietary styles, your addictions, or your finances in general. Mars wants to help you make changes here so that you don't have that emotional disconnect and you feel a little bit better about that whole thing in the next 3 months. Because Mars is also, flowing to the nodes of fate, this is a very beautiful finding. It makes things feel very fated. And some of this could invite you to a change of home that affects your finances, or a change in your finances that changes your home in a destined, fated, expansive way, even moving your home to a far off land or country, even if it's just for a short while. Technically speaking, this moon, well, first of all, this ingress is ruled by Saturn with the North Node in the house of home. So again, some of you can change your home, but more importantly, the moon is opposite Jupiter and T-squaring Chiron. This is really more exact the day before because I just progressed the chart. And we don't have the sun here, but trust me, I want you to see the T-square. That's why I did that. Okay. So it can look to me like you are having to work through some financial issues with a romantic partner, a sexual partner, shared resources with a spousal partner. You may work through some issues to do with a wounding to your money and one of your children, your romantic life and money. Now, or your romantic life and how you want to talk to your person about a speech, right? And what's going on there, and having to really work through some desire to have a conversation about sex and romance with somebody. But the other part of it is Jupiter, right? Jupiter is blessing your 8th house, although that can indicate some energy going on around inheritances or shared spousal resources. And with Saturn, an inheritance from an elder. But those are kind of off to the side of the main event. And the main event is really about that romantic life or a relationship with a child, one of your children. And there's a really critical turning point in that relationship. And a lot of it looks like it's connected to money issues. Okay. And you might look at that for the 3rd week of December to the third week of March is something that's undergoing change. And Mars is not visible, so some of the real punch of this change, some of the real impact won't be available until the month of March, mid-March onward. And Mars, does also rule your fifth house, right, of that romance and sex story. And I have to tell you, like, this is your speech house. So there's some conversations with somebody that might need to happen, especially with Mercury talking to Mercury, the ruler of your marriage house here. You're having some serious conversations for those of you in relationships that are long-term and committed. This could really be some pivotal turning points to do with those relationships, especially as it comes to money in those relationships that are long-term and committed, legal marriage and cohabs and stuff like that. And I don't think you need to think about it too much. It'll think itself out for you. This is a powerful card, Direction Guardian. Choose your path. Mars is the chooser. Mars is in the house of speech and money and earnings. So let's take a look at what the new direction is that you're going to move in. If you make money in a way that's emotionally dissatisfying with the moon there, this can also change that as well. Like, enough of making money, but really being unhappy with the thing you do to create the money direction. Okay, this is one of the Guardian cards because they have all these segments here. So Direction Guardian, choose your path. You listen to me, you Sagittarius, connect with your deepest desires, choose the path that will make your heart and soul sing. No emotional discontent, right? The path is not set in stone, and your angels and guides have expressed no expectations for you, nor should you have any for yourself. There are many directions that you can take. None of them are wrong as they all hold perfect opportunities to grow and to learn. Okay. But life is meant to be enjoyed and savored. So if you know that there's a decision to be made, and particularly if you're feeling indecisive, choose the path is going to make you light up. Yeah, know that mopey Capricorn emotional constriction, right, in your chart. Choose with your heart. Okay, so choose your dietary habits. Choose to quit your addiction, go to the ashram. Choose what you want with a significant relationship, romance situation, and money involved in that. And ask yourself what will light your heart up. Not what you should do, not the dutiful moon, but what you must do, right? Because you need to take care of your own emotional well-being. That's an important feature of reality. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Every year, the winter solstice will bring a 3-month period. December 21st this year to the third week of March. That 3-month period is always a reset in you. You are resetting. Capricorn sun, your career and purpose matters. Capricorn moon, your home and domicile and emotional set points. Capricorn rising, resetting your significant character avatar expression in the reality called the Matrix or the movie or the game. So this is a very intense version of that, because not only do we have an exalted Mars, but we have a debilitated moon. This means that it's a new moon. You want a new beginning, and you're trying to reset to cut away Mars from something that you find emotionally challenging, right? Your career, Cap Sun, your identity and factors in your life, career and purpose. Sun, a home life for you Cap Moons is challenging. Oh my God, I need to make some changes in the home. Doesn't mean you have to move, by the way, Cap Moons. You could be changing things in the home so that you're not so emotionally mopey or unhappy about it. You can have a very strong executive command to make powerful life-changing decisions about work, relationship, and home over the next 3 months. With a caveat, the actions that follow the decisions might be best served until after the 17th of March, when we have a visible Mars. But it doesn't mean that you're not in the thick of the changes, right, through to the third week of March. You may not execute the decisions in terms of action. Like, say you decide to change your home with a chironic wound in the 4th house. Yeah, some of you will be moving, but you probably will make the decision and plan for it and probably not be moving until mid-March onward. Similarly, with, Jupiter in your 7th house, there could be moves for relationship-related reasons. Jupiter can bring former relationships from the past into your present again, but there's relationship stories connected to potential home-based stories and decisions that you need to make and take. And I mean longer term committed love, not flirty romantic dating, those kinds of relationships, spousal style. Having this energy of the moon opposite Jupiter, right? The moon wants to be with Jupiter, wants to be in that relationship house, wants to be hanging with a partner. And yet the moon is isolated in, stoic, lonely Capricorn. So you might be feeling some isolation from relationship. Maybe your partner's traveling, maybe you're traveling, maybe you're single and you're looking for love, that kind of thing. Healing a chironic wound is a mother wound in the fourth house. It's an ancestral wound. It's wounds to do with your feeling like you belong where you live and feeling satisfaction in your home life. So that healing is underway. And this is a very good 3 months to finalize that. And for some of you, it could indicate a change of home. Mars is the ruler of your house of career gains, and therefore you may expect some maybe opportunities financially connected to career emerging as well in the 3 months that follows this reset button. Because the moon is flowing to the north node, any changes you make in domicile will be fated, destined, could involve far off, distant, or foreign places, and also can involve Saturn, Neptune, like near water and mountain, right? Combinations. If you're trying to make a change of home and you're not sure what to do because the moon is new, it's dark, Mars is invisible. Again, a lot of this suggests that clarity emerges better over time. The closer we get to the first 2 weeks of March, the more certainty you might have about some of these actions going on in your sky here. And Jupiter would truly want you to find, a destined, expansive, beautiful worldly home, like, because he rules your North Node storyline. He does flow to it, but you need Mars's clarity to parse the left path from the right path, right? And until you kind of move through this fully, like I'd say like mid-March, you might hold on to uncertainty, although you may be pretty sure you know what direction you're going in. You might not completely know. You might not completely stick the decisive landing again till March. So be patient in these 3 weeks ahead if you're making decisions about career, relationship, and home in particular. Now we're going to go ahead and draw a card for you and see what we got. Now it's a thesis, that we have an idea that maybe we don't know how to make a decision when Mars is invisible. So you tell me if that's true, because I don't know. I'm just saying you can't see the planet. He could behave badly in terms of his decision-making power, not being particularly on his A game, if you know what I mean. I can't believe I got the card for you that I got for another sign, Directions Guardian. Choose your path. Well, yes, I'm talking about you could choose this career, this person, that home, choose your path. However, certainty is the question mark. Isn't that the card I just read for the sign before you? That is odd. I shuffled. Connect with your deepest desires and choose the path that will make your heart sing. Your path isn't set in stone. By the way, this is connected to the prophet Ezekiel in the card, who saw the angel with 4 different faces. And that's perfect because it literally is your first house, fourth house, seventh house, and 10th house that are lit up by this Mars. Your path is not set in stone, nor should you have any for yourself. Oh, and guides have no expectations for you, and nor should you have any for yourself. There are many directions you can take. None of them are wrong. They all hold perfect opportunities to grow and to learn. But life is to be enjoyed and to be savored. None of that mopey moon. Are you really having any fun? And particularly if you are feeling indecisive, choose the path you know is going to make you light up. And choose with your heart. Okay, that's what I got. And then we're moving to my sign. Oh my goodness, my voice. I'm losing my voice. I'm truly losing my voice, but that's okay. I'm still recording. Please tell me I'm recording. Yay. And then next, it is Aquarian, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I'm Aquarius rising. Let's go ahead. The 3-month forecast. This is a 3-month forecast for your sign. Every year, the sun comes into this part of the sky, 3rd week of December, 3rd week of March, 3 months ahead. You always reset in the house of solitude. Let's face it, we like our time alone when we're in our January, February, March timeframe, don't we? I do. And plus, this is a house of distant shores and foreign lands. And I usually travel off to warmer climates every time this happens. So think about where you want to be alone, where you want to work on your spiritual life, where you want to quit your addictions, dry Jan, where you want to work on your spiritual, soulful, creative endeavors and solitude, blissful solitude. So the urge for alone will be very normal for you on the regular here, but not always do you have Mars and a moon in this place. And this is a little bit different because the moon here, she's kind of like alone and lonely and maybe not having happiness here, not feeling good about the solitude. You see what I mean? And so that's a different flavor this time around. Well, at the same time, Mars is trying to get you to cut, end, and sever addiction. So it's really good for a detox. But also Mars here is trying to get you to make decisions. He's not visible till March, so you might not be able to get your full action plan from those decisions in place. He wants you to cut, end, and sever something. He's particularly apt to focus on the thing across from him, which is things to do with your work or your health. So quit addictions that are bad for your health, or quit some situations in your work that you no longer are emotionally satisfied by, for that is the temple of the moon across the way. So where work is like emotionally draining you, you might be getting ready for a quit, a reset, an ending there for sure. Now, one thing about this storyline is that Mars in the 12th house can also represent the part of your life that is just simply about ways that you tend to be operating on karmic patterns and self-undoing, including ancestral. And you might want to begin to excise those, like cut them out like a surgical procedure, almost like a shamanic journey, if you know what I mean, to excise past life vows of poverty and childhood lessons that no longer serve you. And I'm working on that myself. I just had my dad's ghost visit me yesterday. We had a long conversation. I haven't seen him in ages. Told me when he's coming back, who he's coming back, which child he's coming as. It's a really amazing conversation. But maybe I'll do the outro on that, talking to ghosts. And, you know, my dad gave me some insights that really helped me realize some changes I need to make in my life. So there's this kind of quality of that 12th house is like, get in touch with your ancestors, get in touch with the people who came before you, find out what changes you need to make to untether from patterns that really are no longer yours to carry, right? Ancestral line patterns, karmic patterns, all of that. Now, if you make money, digital income, borderless revenue, PayPal, Stripe, and payment processors, normally we reset your button here every winter, right? So the last time I reset my button here 2 years ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, I incorporated, right? It got me to incorporate. So there's a thing that happens when you kind of relook at those types of money. And there's going to be some changes I'm already starting to make. I can see what they're going to be. So you'll see you're just making changes here, right? That's all. And because we have a T-square forming, okay, and Saturn is the ruler, right? Money. So your money, earnings, and dietary habits, what comes in your nose and mouth. So it's good for cleansing, detoxing, purifying, getting rid of addictions, making changes to your money, earnings, resources, even tax structures, shifting it all. Now, because the moon is opposite Jupiter and it's T-squaring Chiron, there is a Chironic wound with siblings, neighbors, neighborhood, writing, social media landscape issues, especially if you use social media for your work. And you've been feeling wounded here. Now, the Chironic wound could be, I feel it, I'm not on purpose. This is not meaningful. This is not my true talents and gifts being used properly in the world. Those are ideas. Could be that you're dealing with that. And there could be an impulse here for that to change. You want to make a change. You want to get rid of that thing that hasn't been working. And you want to open up bounteous new opportunities for prosperous and joyful engagement and work. Mars rules your career house. So it will always take you to that career space ? Right? Are you going to make some changes in your career off of this 3 months period? And it's really looking for satisfaction, joy, and prosperity in the career, right? So you will make some changes. It's almost like you're in a incubator, like you went off to the, what do you call the things they do? Sweat lodge. And then you went into a spiritual retreat or some kind, and you're kind of incubating change. And by the time we get to March, you're going to be ready to activate, make, and like lean into that change, right? So I don't know what my change will be yet. I'll let you know. Neptune's involved. He rules videography platforms like YouTube. YouTube's algorithm is sucking ass for subs. My subs have never been this low in a month of December ever, but they're always low in December. But this is the lowest I've had since I started the channel. Well, in the last 4 years. So people like me, like I'm not the only astrologer going through something like this. We just might lose our mojo. You know, like, I mean, really, I'm going to start like something else. I'm going to move over to, I am at Substack. I love writing over there. So keep that in mind. Lastly, a sibling may have a health challenge. Not normally, but because of Mars. And so sibling health challenge coming through in the next 3 months, you might have to help them with it, go visit them, travel to visit them, or something like that. We're going to stop the share and we're going to pick a card for you, Angels and Ancestors. Oh my God, I can't wait to teach my class. I'm teaching the 5 hacks for intuition. It was like $10 to take the class. It was like, because it's not much I can tell you. I can share my 5 top techniques that I use, show you how to use them. So it's like a short class, probably an hour, but the replay will be available. So, to purchase. So it'll be there. Okay. So the she-wolf. Unleash the wild within. I don't even know, but I'll she-wolf. Can I unleash the wild within? Why not? Let's take a look at that one, guys, and try to make sense of it. Oh my God, I should have had more water. She-wolf. I like that card. Let your wild side up and out, unleash your talents and your desires. Oh, yeah. Well, Chiron is our talents. It's a key to purpose and our natural talents. And this whole Mars opposite Jupiter square Chiron is about our talents, but the talents are third house talents: communication, teaching, writing, selling, and marketing. You are being rewilded at this time, guided to reconnect with your rebellious heart, the part of you that likes to break boundaries and go beyond them completely. Aquarius, if you've been holding back on your hopes and dreams, you are being encouraged to chase after them now. Let the wolf energy within help you track down what direction you want to go in. I want to howl. And I have a great video of my German Shepherd howling when the fire alarm went off in my house. And she's like she sounds like a friggin' wolf. Oh my God. I've never heard her howl before. It was crazy. She's passed away a few years ago. Don't let any traps or hunters get in the way of your freedom or your growth. The life you want is here. It's so funny because Jupiter's in the house of pets, wolves, animals, and, four-leggeds, right? Domestic animals. And so it's funny that the animal, and Mars is in the house of the big four-leggeds, like giraffes and stuff, and elephants. So the animal axis of 6 and 12 is activated, and I get the animal card for us. All right. And finally, if you are a Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, I will do an outro on how to talk to ghosts. If you're a Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, here's your narrative. You are definitely somebody who, in this sky, every same time of year, third week of December to third week of March, you go through a 3-month cycle of resetting your friendship circles, your long-range goals and dreams and plans, your relationships with your friends, your career gains and how you make money in your career, the rewards of your career. Reset, right? You do that all the time. And sibling one older, reset button. Now we have a different vibe than just the sun ingressing. We have the sun ingressing with Mars right beside the sun. So there's a quality of major life change through pivot turning point decisions and actions connected to career and earnings and from your career, and connected to friends and connected to sibling. Older. Because Mars is invisible until March, some of those decisions will take time. Some of the changes will show up closer till March. And with Mars here, also accompanied by a stoic and discontent, emotionally cold and lonely moon, you may be feeling something going on with your friendship groups, your circles, your allies, where you feel isolated or socially discontent, or you might feel emotionally disconnected from some long-range goals and dreams you have for your life. They're being cut and severed and you realize it's not going to work, but this is a new moon. It's a new beginning in your long-range goals and dreams, your social groups and friendship circles. It's a new beginning in career gains and earnings and money from career. So there's a new set button here, but change is here. And so keep that in mind. Mars is ruled, so is the sun and moon, all ruled by Saturn. You are the stoic. You are the serious, realistic, responsible Saturnian energy, wanting to make a dream come true, wanting your visualizations and imaginations to yield tangible, firm results on the real world plane. And you know you're being moved about on the game board of life by the North Node of destiny and fate. And so as you look at this new beginning that Mars and the sun and the moon are trying to create in your 11th house, you might come into more of a surrendered state regarding your long goals, range goals and dreams, the gains of your career and how you make money, and be willing to change with a kind of let go, let God vibe. Mars is a ruler of your 9th house of the word international, foreign lands and foreign shores, as well as third marriages and actually also legal court cases. Some of you might go into a legal or court matter in order to have a career, a great gain come to you, like a chunk of money or something. Some of you might also feel like you have to make some major decisions regarding people in foreign lands or foreign places or foreign shores. But right now, you really have to work on the chironic wound connected to your earnings, resources, and money house. So you make money here in the 2nd house. You are wounded a bit since on your diet, your facial appearance, like problems with your teeth, your face, nose, maybe some health issues. You've been wounded about your voice and speech, been wounded about your calling and vocation. You've been wounded about your money, earnings, and resources. And you've been wounded about your dietary style and habits. Those are all thoughts, chironic wounds since 2019 for many Pisces. But this is kind of wanting to pivot off of this ingress. So the 3 months that follow wants to spin the wheel of change here towards Jupiter's agenda. And Jupiter wants you to have a stronger connection to your children. Jupiter wants you to have more romantic fun, pleasure, and love. Jupiter wants joy and creativity, passion projects, entrepreneurial endeavors. And the moon, who's discontent and would rather be with Jupiter, says, I'd like to be there too. So it's not enough to make money. Are you having any fun? It's not enough to hang out with your friends and your social groups when what you really want is romance, right? And so and by the way, this is a house of friendship. It's possible this is going to be an onset of a turning point in relationship with a friend that could turn into a romance. But Chiron here, he still says, can you get it together with money? And this could be a winning ticket, but maybe not till March, because Jupiter is in the house of money that you can win. And he's flowing to the nodes of fate. So keep that in mind. And this could open up a change of finances through what you would call a windfall. Okay, that's the best I can give it to you. It could involve a windfall from a sibling, 3 older, 1 older, that kind of thing. And we're going to draw a card for you. And I'm going to get some water before I can't talk anymore. So from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle Guidebook, what do you need to know about the 3 months ahead? Let's go for it. Ooh. Shift your perception with the Air Guardian. You need a perceptual shift. Let's check it out. Kind of makes sense. Saturn rules the ingress and it's in your sign with the visionary imaginal Neptune. So it's really up to you what you're going to do with this energy, really up to your own, energetic approach to it all. Air Guardian. Change the way you think and you will change your whole reality. When this card arises, Pisces, it's an opportunity to learn about your way of thinking. You are being guided to recognize that not all you see is the way you see it. Not all you see is exactly the way you see it. Sometimes the mind can play games and sometimes our perceptions can be wrong. If you are being challenged or feel that there's a lack of clarity and direction in your life, there's a good chance that the way you're thinking or what you're focusing on has a lot to do with that reality. You are being guided to open your eyes and your mind to go beyond any limits you have set for yourself and recognize that the way you see the world is how you will experience the world. It's your glasses you're wearing. It's your perceptual filter, especially people who get stuck in victim identities. I mean, sorry, guys. I know we're all trauma informed, but still, you can't live your whole life through the identity of victimhood. Just like when you're an alcoholic and you say, I'm an alcoholic or I'm recovering. No, it's like you get stuck in a counterpoint to a negative identity. So yeah, I'm babbling. So you are being guided to open your eyes and your mind, go beyond your limits that you set for yourself, and recognize the way you see the world is how you express in the world, experience in the world, how you will experience the world. Opportunities are moving in your direction, but they will only open up for you if you are ready to do the internal work and to support them. Good fortune and good spirit houses 5 and 11 are golden opportunity houses. They're lucky houses. And so how you experience this is also how you frame it, right? Rose colored glasses, well, that's not great, but blinders, that's not great either. So take your filters and see how you inform change in your reality by how you perceive what's happening as good or negative. So I'm going to do a quick outro about talking to ghosts. So I've always talked to ghosts, but I don't mean to. I talked to dead people when I was doing my psychic readings in my 30s, and I talked to people's dead people, and I was pretty accurate at doing that. Why is this woman got 8 cats around her? Oh my God. And she's wearing this outfit, and that would be great Aunt Catherine who just died. That these kinds of things actually happen. But that's for other people. It's when ghosts are trying to talk to me, this crazy ass world, when you have an open psychic third eye, the dead are definitely very busy trying to reach their loved ones or me. So I've had a couple experiences lately where my third eye or my talking to dead is increasing beyond me, like it's happening more often. A couple of years ago, I got through. I'm going to tell you how to do it, I guess. It's listen. Like I hear a whistling in my ear, usually like a little bit of a pressure change, and then a sound like like that. No, I don't have tinnitus or anything like that. It only happens when someone dead is there. And then I tune in and I try to imagine what I'm looking at. Am I seeing a male or a female? Sometimes I get peripheral movement before that happens, like a ghost in my visual field. And I tune in and then I can see male or female. I begin to see in my inner imagination what they look like. And sometimes I'm hearing words. So, a couple of years back, 3 years ago, I was on a call with a friend of mine, and his dead sister showed up and had a message for her former husband, his brother-in-law. And it was very specific that he was going to meet somebody, and that the dead sister wanted her former husband to know that she was still watching over him and was going to bring a proof of concept that on a certain date, this person was going to show up in his life, someone with a letter R in her name. That's what it was. And it was a specific date of it, and it was very precise. Now, little did I know that the date that this spirit of the dead told me about, the date was her funeral date. I didn't know that. So as soon as the husband heard it from his dead wife, who'd been dead for about 6 years at that point, he knew it must be important because it was her funeral date. And he knew that I didn't know the funeral date. This is being passed through the brother of the woman who died to the brother-in-law or her husband. So anyway, but then this guy was a pilot, and he knew he was scheduled to fly on that date. The date was maybe a month after I got the information. He already had a trip scheduled. He was going to be going to, I think, Italy. He'll be in a cockpit, he was thinking, oh my God. And then he was wondering if any of the co-pilots might be female, and it was Delta Airlines, etc. Long story short, at the very last minute, the flight was canceled and he didn't have to take the trip. Instead, he went out to a restaurant with one of his friends and in his local neighborhood. And at the restaurant, he was talking to his buddy, and a woman came up to him and said, hello. And she said, I knew your wife, and my name is Roseanne. And then they talked quite a long time, and they exchanged information, and they get in touch with each other. And then it didn't become a relationship. So he wondered if his ex-wife was thrusting some new relationship at him. It wasn't that. It was just the signal. It was just a signal that she had promised him that I'm watching over you all as well. So I have a lot of that kind of intervention. The other day I was talking with someone on the phone, and their dead father came through, and he had a bunch of information about childhood that puts this person's entire life into context and opened up huge vistas of ahas for him that made total sense. So my dad came through for me the other day. I was sitting here working at my desk, and all of a sudden I see my dad's photo, and my dad is a super sweetie. Hang on. And I have his picture here because I'm in my friends and helpful family ancestors corner of my feng shui of my home that I'm living in. There's my dad. Yeah, I know. I look like my dad, don't I? Let me get him for you. Ready? Come on, camera, focus. Hey, there's my dad. That's me. Look, and My dad, he passed away way, way back when I was in my late 30s. I was 37. I'm 63. Because he was an older man when he had kids in his 40s. But my dad, I once I had my own kids, and after he passed, I recognized what an amazing dad he was. It's only when you're growing up as a rebellious teenager you never get it. But he came through. I was just looking at his picture, and all of a sudden I could feel his whole presence around me. I've got great ghost stories with my dad, but I haven't seen him for a long time. He hasn't pushed through in a dream or anything else. And I was just feeling one of those days overwhelmed, burnt out. I kept saying to my friends and family, I'm burning out. One of my clients wrote me an email, don't burn out. I'm burning out. I'm burning out. It's not just how much work I'm doing, but anyway, I just felt defeated. I felt down. I felt like I said to a guy I know, I said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to engage in work. And my dad was a workaholic, but he didn't mean to be. He owned his own business. He didn't have enough support as a pharmacist. There were no other pharmacists in the town we lived in to take his place. So he didn't get to take vacations, and he worked really hard, and he had to open the store up in the morning, and he could stay late at night, sometimes to 6:30 to finish up stuff in the back end. And so my father created a gilded cage, his own business, but he was a slave to it. And the last 10 years of his life, he retired and he watched birds and he read books. It was great. But there was a lot of things that he missed out on, the enjoyment of his family, the enjoyment of life, the simple pleasures, because he had to work so hard, or he ended up working so hard. And he was creative and artistic, and he never got to express some of his creative and artistic stuff because he was locked into the job, the business, the profession he had chosen. And I was reflecting on that. We had a conversation, my dad and I, and he gave me some really great advice and some really great suggestions. I'm not going to go into it now. That made me recognize, just how much of his pattern I began to relive. And because I saw my dad work so hard and lose the enjoyment of life, I chose a life where I got into circumstances where I wasn't able to work. Like I moved to the United States for 20 years, and my visa was so pathetic. It's called a G4 visa. That getting a job on that visa was really onerous for I could only get a job in my trained field, which is journalism, which I didn't want to do. So I ended up kind of not working for 20 years because I was unable to work, which meant I kind of did a little side hustle, was a part-time under the table psychic. But all said and done, I even chose a life that would help me avoid becoming my dad. And then I became my dad anyway. Here I am the last 7 years. And it is a lot of energy going into this at the expense of my own social health, workout, enjoyment of life. I've had these kinds of experiences where it's boom and bust. I'm either completely not working and living off my savings, or I'm working my ass off to get my savings back. So what I want to say is that talking to ghosts is something we can all cultivate. I can't teach that in an hour-long webinar, but it's not like we all can't talk to people from our past, our ancestors and stuff. We certainly can. We can learn how to do that. But I just know how to do that from years of practice. Okay, so that's what I've got. Hopefully that was helpful and useful. I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check out my 2025 All Signs bundle. Ciao, ciao.